Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video by yours truly. I know, Smack, where the hell have you been these past couple of days? Well, I'm sure some of you may or may not have heard I built my own PC. That took up about 36 hours of my time because I'm a goddamn nub, but we got it done, so here we are. The other reason is because I got to pay taxes this month, so I've been spending a lot of time prepping that, getting that ready. My daughter's also getting one of her final shots for a while. My Jeep oil needed to be changed as well as some brake pads. Boy, let me tell you, that adulting, god damn it, boy. It's gonna come after you sooner or later, young bucks, trust me. Anyways, we're gonna be getting into a tier list for Jingliu. I'm gonna be giving you guys my thoughts and perspective as to whom is going to be the absolute best units to utilize with her. A lot of people think Bronya is. I think you'll be surprised to see where I might place her. And we're going to throw in all the variables, make sure we give it a good nuanced discussion as we normally like to do. But I think a lot of this will be pretty beneficial to the overall community with regards to how she performs, who she's going to perform well with, depending on certain circumstances, yada, yada, yada. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so the way we're going to go about this is I want to get this first, the Booty Cheek Chronicles row. I want to get those units out of the way, because those are the most important units that we're going to be using with her. Once we get them out the way, I then want to get into some usable units and conditional units, depending on what you're trying to do. And then we'll throw in anybody who may or may not be in the back with Amber. Starting off with my boy Blade. I do think he's going to be one of the best units in the game to utilize with her. We've already spoken about skill point friendliness between her and Blade, right? And putting them both on the same team when they both don't consume skill points when they're inside of their enhanced states. Blade a little bit more skill point, actually a good degree more skill point positive than Jingliu, but Jingliu still is more skill point positive than the majority of DPSs in the game apart from him. In fact, they are the best in terms of the DPS available. So putting them next to each other, Blade having his HP set, which gives him crit rate boost when he gets HP taken from him, she taking that from him, and then they're both just collectively dealing a ton of damage. Now for that third and fourth slot, I truly think a Pela or a Bronya or a Tingyun is going to enable them to pop off, but I think Pela will be the best option. We'll get around to that here in a bit. Then finally you have your Loucha and Xuan. I just think Blade paired with her, they're going up against, you know, scenarios where they're weak against the wind and ice element, of course, right? If they're not weak against both, then Blade's value is going to go down. But with all that in mind, I think they just have a great pairing with one another and the synergies there as well. Moving on to Loucha. Yep, we're going to go ahead and put him up here. He's going to be the best option in the game apart from Xuan. He's the most comfortable, the most skill point positive. She's draining HP every time she uses her spectral enhanced skill. So him being able to heal that HP back just puts your worries to rest, other than getting one tapped by Darkmaster Darius. Well, he can't protect you from that one. But other than that, it's not any rocket science as to why he's going to be in the divine tier. And now coming up, Xuan. I've said this before in the previous video. I think Xuan is the more calculated option. The more sweatier gamer is going to be able to utilize her more effectively than they would utilize a Loucha because of the 10% crit rate boost, the CC immunity, as well as the damage contribution she can also give to the team, and then her incredibly powerful sustainability because she mitigates the majority of the team's damage. These are all very valuable things to have on the team. So I think she's an even stronger option than Loucha. And the cool thing about Jingliu is because she's on the more positive, or not, skill point friendly side of things, you don't need her to generate as much skill points as Loucha, making her a great option for Jingliu. Now, I will tell you, there is a timer when you're using Xuan, because let's say you take 5, 6, 7 cycles to kill your MOC enemies. Well, in that span of time, she might not be able to sustain Jingliu team compositions in that duration. So depending on who you are, if you take too long to clear cycles, you might want to go ahead and use Loucha because your team might die by that time. So you are on a bit of a timer when you're using Xuan, and as opposed to using somebody like Loucha where you can take 10 cycles, he's still going to be healing up your team effectively. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, moving on to Pela. I think Pela is actually, I think Pela's going to be right here. I think she's the best support in the entire game. I think she's way better than Bronya, unless you have an E2 Bronya. But I think she's way better than every other unit available in the game for Jingliu. The thing about Jingliu's kit, and this is going to pertain to Bronya as well, When she enters her spectral state, she gets advanced forward immediately. So somebody like Bronya, who has to, she has to use her skill to give you her skill damage bonus. She's not going to be able to do that on the first spectral slash indefinitely for Jingliu, because Jingliu immediately advances herself forward after using her skill. So she's going to go straight into this state, and Bronya cannot ever give her a skill damage bonus indefinitely because of the way her kit is operating. So people who can give a debuff to the enemy and essentially indirectly buff Jingliu without having to worry about that, they go up in value immensely. Pela's one of them. Silverwolf is one of them. Tingyun is one of them, just not as valuable or just not as efficient on the uptime as a Pela and a Silverwolf. So you guys have to take this into consideration, because Jingliu is going to go 3 times in her state with that spectral slash and her ultimate. That's 4 freaking actions. So you want units on the team that are going to have maximum uptime on their debuffs and vulnerability and multiplicative damage bonuses and all that. Pela and Silverwolf can both do that, but Pela is even better than Silverwolf because Pela gives 10% effect hit rate to the entire party. Jingliu, for whatever reason, has one singular ability that needs effect hit rate, and it's her goddamn technique. Her technique can freeze the enemies upon entering battle, enabling her to deal damage passively with the ice, but most importantly, delay the enemy from even going. So no matter how fast they are, if they're frozen as soon as you go into battle, they're gonna get delayed. That's huge. That's massive for setting up your perfect scenario combos. But Jingliu needs effect hit rate in order for this to proc, in order for it to be frozen. Now the other part of it, where she gets the energy regeneration and an immediate syzygy stack, that's going to happen guaranteed no matter what your effect hit rate is. But for that other freeze the enemy, take ice damage additionally, and delay their action, you need effect hit rate. So having Pela on the party, giving her that 10%, giving that additional 10 effect hit rate, means you only need about 30 effect hit rate built into her substats, which will bring her to 40 overall effect hit rate, which against the hardest content in the game, you got pretty good chances. It's not going to be guaranteed, nor do I think you need to prioritize guaranteeing it. I think you need to bring it to about 40. 60 is ideal, but if you can get 40 effect hit rate built into her substats, you have a very high chance of freezing the enemies upon entering battle with her technique, which you're going to use. You're probably going to want to use that between her and Pela. It depends, because other people can say, well, I'll just go into battle and open up with Pela instead of Jingliu. Then again, you don't have your syzygy stack. That can be that can set you back in terms of efficiency of clearing cycles. Okay, so the reason I like Pela, one, maximum uptime on the debuff. Her E4 gives a vulnerability multiplicative damage bonus. Again, another debuff that can happen with maximum uptime. And you do need to use a skill, which is a bit of a negative on skill point funneling. However, Pela's so skill point positive that it doesn't matter. And furthermore, her E4 lasts for 2 turns. So you don't have to spam it every single turn. You spam it 1 turn, and then when a couple of turns go by, you re-up it. The cool thing about Pela's debuffs is they apply based off how many times the enemy goes. So you have a much longer window of the uptime of her debuffs, thanks to the enemy having to go and not you going. That's huge. But to sum it all up, Pela can give you maximum uptime while you're in your spectral state for all 3 skill enhances as well as the ultimate. And that's why I think she is just absolutely invaluable. Okay, so that's going to be my best pick for sure. Not to mention you can run her with that light cone that gives them even more defensive shredding if you want. I personally like her with Silverwolf's light cone, but you can very well do that. So keep that in mind, guys. In my personal opinion, Pela is above all for Jingliu. Now, Tingyun. I know, you guys know I'm a raving fan of Tingyun. I do think she belongs in the divine tier. Debatably, she can be in the solid pick tier though. And the reason I say that is because her kit is also a bit tricky with Jingliu, because you have to time her ultimate to ensure that the 2 duration buff bonus, the 2 turn duration from her damage bonus, is being applied to only spectral state Jingliu. So if you use her ultimate to buff up Jingliu before she enters the spectral state, you're going to waste a turn on a regular skill. And that's a negative. And there's going to be some times where you're going to be tempted to do so. You don't want to waste anything on anything outside of her spectral state. So that makes me almost bring Tingyun down to the solid pick tier. However, because she's so goddamn broken, 20% speed boost, 600 and something attack boost given to her for 3 turns, skill point positivity, all the other things that she has going for her kit, synergy with dance because she gets her ult up faster than any other harmony unit. All of that still keeps her in the divine tier, evidently. But just to be fair, I would debatably put her in the solid pick tier just because of that. I'm not kidding. I'm hovering between here and here. Not to mention the battery. I think the battery is another selling point, of course. Getting Jingliu's ult up, she has a very expensive high energy cost burst. So that's why I leave her in the divine tier. Now, moving on to Bronya. Yes. Now here's the thing. Let's have this discussion. Because I already know a lot of the community seems to think Bronya is the best thing just because Bronya can enable Jingliu to go multiple times by bringing her back up to the front line. This is true. She can do this. But guys, first of all, that's a lot of skill points being wasted trying to do that over and over with Jingliu. And Jingliu will use up them skills because she has to enter her spectral state. The problem with this, though, is what I said before. Bronya will never, ever, ever be able to amplify her skill damage bonus and give it to Jingliu on that first spectral slash. She'll never be able to do that. So that's a turn gone where Bronya can never do that. The other negative about this is if your Jingliu's ult is up on that first spectral slash, you have to hostage it because you need Bronya's, you want the whole damage bonus that Bronya's given from her skill and her ult. So you got to hostage Jingliu's ult if it's up on that first spectral slash when you're playing Bronya. That's an L. That's not good. That's a horrible thing. Not to mention, Bronya's going to have to bring her back to the front line again and again to make sure you're maximizing all of her kit's damage bonuses. And that is why I think she's a solid pick and not the best pick in the game. It's just her kit is not as synergistic as people are thinking it's going to be. Now, don't get me wrong, Bronya's so broken that even her ult buff is good enough for Jingliu. Attack percent, crit damage, right? But the other thing you have to consider is Jingliu has the most broken crit damage kit in the entirety of the game. And you do get diminishing returns once your crit damage goes so goddamn high. So damage bonus is more important for Jingliu than crit damage bonus. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. So that's why Tingyun's still in the divine tier. If you look at Jingliu's traces and everything that's inside of her kit, it has everything except a damage bonus. That's about it. And it only has 1 damage bonus, and that's just for her ultimate. But pretty much you need characters that can give a damage bonus or defensive shred because of how the multiplier of her entirety of her kit operates. Basically, that's the one flower that needs more watering. You're putting way too much water on that crit damage flower already as is. So I think Bronya is a solid pick. Now, I know it's a hot take, but guys, I got a 5 gazillion IQ play here. All right. Trust. Source. Go check all the channel and every time I've been right. No, I'm just kidding. John, shut up. Get over yourself, bucko. All right, moving on. We got Silverwolf. Yeah, she's going to be in the divine tier. The same concept as Pela. All of her debuffs, her all type resistance bonus, maximum uptime. You don't have to worry about getting in there with the spectral state to squeeze it in. If Silverwolf dunks on somebody's head with that ultimate, as plus the all type damage resistance, and she can obviously enable ice resistance too, right? We all know, right, Silverwolf is broken, but the real reason she's in the divine tier is because of the maximum uptime. Plus, you can also enable break effect Silverwolf on this composition. It's not like Jingliu has to break their shield. She really doesn't, unless you're running Fall of the Eon, which is tough. But for the most part, Silverwolf has an incredible value, and I'm gonna put her right up here. And with regards to Xuan and Loucha, it doesn't matter. You can swap Pela and Silverwolf behind them or in front of them. You know, tomato is how I view that. Asta, I think Asta is going to be very high value against people who are weak to both ice and fire, which there are. The monkey, I believe, is. But outside of that, Asta will still be of high value if you're running a very high speed induced Jingliu, trying to get her to possibly go 3 times. The only unit that in the game that can do that is going to be paired with Asta with the dance light cone, a very high built trace of her ultimate. She could potentially get your Jingliu to go 3 times. She can, believe it or not, but it's incredibly high investment. So with that, she's a very solid pick. Finally, we have Lynx. Lynx is a solid pick. You can put her anywhere over here. It doesn't really matter. Lynx is a very solid pick. Her healing is obviously very good for a 4-star. Not the best. People kind of are gassing Lynx up. She does have really good healing. But the real reason is she can remove debuffs from your party. Plus, she can give that aggro to our Jingliu, who has a very high energy cost burst, enabling her to get hit more, which funnels more energy towards her. And more energy towards her means she gets her ult up faster. So Lynx is actually really good just because of that. And that's why she's a solid pick. If you take away the aggro that she can give to Jingliu, then her value would be usable. That's about it. All right, now let's move on down here. And we're going to scan through these quite briefly. Let's start off with this. When I use this is, let's say, physical. The physical Trailblazer is actually usable, believe it or not, because there's a lot of, a few scenarios in the game where you're going up against people who are weak to both the ice and the physical element. And if you're using the physical Trailblazer, the freaking shield breaking that he does is just ridiculous. So it's a usable conditional unit. Fire Trailblazer, Booty Cheek Chronicles. Fire Trailblazer is like taking the aggro away from everyone, away from Jingliu, forcing them to only hit the Fire Trailblazer. That's bad. You want Jingliu to get popped. Cannot heal your team whatsoever. Booty Cheek Shield. Don't get me wrong, Fire Trailblazer is good on a number of scenarios, but for Jingliu, garbage. So physical Trailblazer, usable. Fire Trailblazer, Booty Cheek Chronicles. In fact, let's just do physical right here, and then let's take the Fire Trailblazer, the non-canon, and put them as the stand-in. Now, Natasha, usable, but I mean, damn, man, she's usable. That's all we're gonna say about that, guys. Okay, her healing is decent, and then that's about all she has going for her. She can debuff one unit at a time. Lynx can debuff your whole party, but it's only one debuff. But even then, that's just way better than a Natasha. We know the story here, guys. Okay, we know how that ends. Usable. If you can sustain and keep shield uptime up on everybody in the party, as well as finish in a fast enough cycles to where Jingliu doesn't kill your team from spamming the hell out of her skill because there's no heals in the party, right? Geppard is usable. So basically, in the right hands, you can run a Geppard and still finish, no problem. You got to finish. You're on a timer there because she's draining your whole party's HP. So yeah, Geppard is definitely usable, but I'd say more conditional. Same thing, conditional. She has the same issue with Bronya, whereas she can't give your entire spectral state 3 slashes and ult, her crit rate, crit damage, attack percent bonus, and because of that, she's usable. And she's worse than Bronya because Bronya, at least her ult is gonna last 2 turns no matter what, which is very valuable. Hers lasts 2, whoever's going next for the next 2 turns, which is a huge L for somebody like Jingliu. Moving on to Luka and Sushang, both of them are usable. So anybody who's in the neutral skill point realm, which again, that can potentially be both of these units, they can either generate or they can use some skills. It's up to you on how you want to swing that. Depending on, again, weak against ice and physical, if you're up against a scenario like that, those two can be very good sub DPS options because Jingliu paired with them, it's not bad skill point usage, not at all. So I like them, they're usable and conditional. Finally, Arlan does not use any skill points at all. I can actually see him popping off with Jingliu. He might even be in a solid pick, but I think he needs to be E6 to be considered a solid pick. I think you have an E6 Arlan, I shit you not, I think he's solid pick. But I have to build him up and prove that to you guys, and until then, he's just going to be usable. Y'all know I'm an Arlan fan too, so if I put him in solid pick, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, he just dick rides Arlan. Shut up, bro. All right, cool. Maybe you're telling the truth. Now, my boy Welt, again, another usable pick, potentially solid pick. I would say more conditional though. That's why he's going to stay in the usable area. I don't see a lot of scenarios where they're weak to ice and imaginary. It's usually ice and quantum. Not to say that they won't do that down the line, but Welt, don't get me wrong, he's a beast. He kind of needs to use his skill. Now, he can auto attack here and there, but for the most part, he kind of needs to use his skill. Now, I will say, if you could prevent the enemy from going with Welt's imprisonment coupled with Jingliu's ice freeze or the ice element freeze, I could see him being a very, very, very solid pick. But like I said, all of that still falls into the conditional realm. And usually you're going to be using Welt probably on the other side. So because of that, he's at the top of usable. Finally, March 7th. The good thing about March 7th is she can give aggro to Jingliu with her shield. The bad thing about March 7th is her heals are incredibly mid and she has to use skill points. She is not really a skill point positive person because you have to use her skill to keep, to keep people alive. So because of that, on a team where we actually do need some skill point positivity, I'm gonna say she's usable and she's probably gonna be a little bit difficult to use on top of that. Okay, so that's my thoughts on March 7th, but she does have some value. She does, but in Middington Street, guys. Okay, Bailu, I will put her probably up here because she can simply just keep your team alive. That's huge value. Keep your team alive, can bring somebody back to life if Jingliu kills them on accident, or not kills them on accident, but you know, drains too much health. Bailu is definitely usable, potentially even a solid pick in this regard. And then finally, Herta, she could be a solid pick against people who are weak against ice scenarios. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, I think Herta is absolutely a solid pick. You put her on the team with Jingliu with a Pela, she debuffs the whole team. I see them two popping the off. I really do. So those are my thoughts. Oh yeah, well finally, I'm sorry, in the back with Amber. Yeah, there we go. Had to throw that in there real quick for the Seele mains. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Smack, you cannot go a single video without throwing shade on the Seele mains, man. All right, listen, bro, it is what it is, all right? Hopefully I brought you guys some value, some insight. Good luck on your Jingliu pulls tomorrow. Let me know your thoughts down below. Comment, baby, please. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.